Welcome to episode 35, and it's going to be an interview. My today's guest is Azgari Lipshi. Originally from Bangladesh, Azgari is a serial entrepreneur who built and sold two businesses before the age of 30. Now, she runs a company named Azgari.com, which is a consultancy firm that helps professionals start or buy service-based businesses. Her clients use financing available for small business administration and Asghari's proven launch system to build real businesses that generate $25,000 and more a month under 90 days. I had a wonderful conversation with Asghari, which will be valuable and encouraging to you if you are secretly but seriously considering starting your own business and committing to being successful. So, without further ado, let's dive into it after this short intro. Welcome to She Became CEO, the podcast for women transforming body, mindset, relationships, and money. I'm your host, Ilze B, and here we speak boldly, heal deeply, and lead lives we're proud of. This is about becoming the CEO of your voice, your business, and your life on your terms. Let's begin. Azgari Lipshi, welcome to the She Became CEO podcast. And I have been looking forward to this conversation because starting a business is one of the three main topics I address in this podcast. And you help people to start their own businesses under your company, Azgari.com, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But before we dive into these matters, as someone who has a name that seems unusual to the people in the US, and as someone with background in linguistics, I can't help but ask you about the origin of your name,
So,
Asghari or Asghari.
so the name is Persian and it's actually from the Quran.
Oh, wow. And does it have a meaning?
Oh, yes, it does. My mother likes to have names with meanings. It means universal beauty.
Oh, that is gorgeous. And you are an excellent carrier of this name. I will make some snippets of the video, even though this is a podcast, so people can see you if you don't mind how beautiful you are.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Now, from the information that you sent to me and from a couple of podcasts where you gave interviews, I learned that you are a serial entrepreneur who started early. And by the age of 30, you built and sold two businesses. Would you mind sharing about that story with my audience?
Yeah, I mean, I would say when I was younger, I always thought I got lucky because my father is an entrepreneur. I don't know any better. I guess that's a better word.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did you start?
Officially around 15.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I went from having a little bit of lunch money to a lot of money very fast.
And was it here in the United States? Have you lived in this country all your life or no?
No, I'm from Bangladesh and I built my primary career in Bangladesh and all across Southeast Asia
Oh,
and officially moved to the States about 5 years ago.
oh, wow, that is so exciting. I didn't know that.
I'm an immigrant. I'm a US citizen now, but I'm definitely an immigrant at heart.
Just like myself. Oh, that makes me like you even more. Yeah, I am so glad that you contacted me because I wouldn't have known about you, but I did stalk you a little bit and watched some of your videos, and I looked at your website, and I'm really excited that, as I said, but please share with me when you started, like dive into this, how this happened, and you know what? I have also been a serial entrepreneur, but I'm sure that you are more successful than I have been. But I think both of us, we know that on the way, as we are creating the businesses, we make mistakes, which turn out to be life lessons. So I'm so curious to hear more about all this.
I mean, as you can imagine, right, being a young kid, it's not like I knew what I was doing. I, but I think part of it was actually great that I didn't know what I was doing because I was a sponge. I was very hungry to just learn and adapt and follow whatever I'm being told. But that inner drive, I'm sure you being an entrepreneur, you can relate to this. You don't know what you're doing or where you're going, but you know you have to do something. And you just keep taking actions and you keep falling forward. I call it
Right.
falling forward, right? Because
Yeah.
you are moving forward, but you're definitely falling and scratching yourself up.
Right. I think that we had different motivations, though. You just said that your motivator was your father and you didn't know differently. For me, I lived in under the Soviet system, which was occupation by Russians, and
Right.
we were not allowed to have any private businesses or even private property. And I had
Wow.
that urge. And once Latvia became free, I just jumped in and started doing, also not knowing what I was doing. But share with me, please, your first business. You said it was at around the age of 15. What was it? What was your business?
It was a supplement brand. So I mean I'm not diagnosed ADHD, but I'm
Mm,
pretty sure I am because I'm all over the place, right? My mind runs 1,000 miles an hour, and then other people have to catch up with what I'm thinking. So for me to focus and not find school boring or taking tests boring, um, I started taking a lot of supplements like ginkgo biloba, ginseng, single herbs. And
mhm,
then I noticed that I was taking my dad's pills. I was taking older, just supplements that weren't designed for high school kids.
uh-huh,
So I wanted to have something that had the right dosage for my age and my gender, being a teenage kid.
mhm,
So I started talking to my dad. My dad's also a doctor, and
mhm,
he also owns factories for manufacturing. So I leveraged his factories and his existing scientists and doctors in his company to create a separate line for kids, not kids, I guess teenagers, for memory and focus. And remember, this is, a couple of decades back in a third world country like Bangladesh, where that was the first time that anyone has thought about supplements for teenage kids, let alone girls.
right.
So that in and of itself was very nuanced. But as you know, I'm sure Indians are all about their kids and education. So
Uh-huh.
anything that would make their kids focus was great for them. So the product itself already had a lot of demand. Um, and the other thing which I would say made me successful is I didn't focus on going directly to consumer.
Uh-huh.
I focused on working with wholesalers, so larger distributors and selling to them. And I would say the second thing that made it different is being a young kid, I was all about what should I do? So I went to these distributors and asked them for advice on how should the packaging look? What are the trends you're seeing in supplements with what type of ingredients? So I created products that my customers told me to make, essentially.
This is truly mind-blowing. At the age of 15, what frame are we talking about from when you had that idea? Actually, the awareness that you need to somehow improve how you feel to the idea about creating a product to actually launching a product. Can you share
So
more about that?
I would say around 5 months, but then again, you're also talking to a kid who doesn't sleep. And if I get an idea in my head, I'm still the same way. It's until I execute, until I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I can't focus on anything else. So I think my 5 months is probably 2 years for an average normal
Hmm.
person.
Yeah, I remember myself at the age of 15. I actually don't remember much of that time, but I was definitely not aware of my mind or that there might be any problems. But that's also this former Soviet Union, and even I think a decade or more before you were 15. But now, can I still continue asking about your this
Great.
period of time?
Yeah.
Because what about your friends? Did you discuss this idea with your friends? Did you have any friends, and how did they react to your initiatives?
It didn't make any sense. Like they were normal kids. So like, what do you mean you want to what? Like you
Yeah.
want to play Barbie?
Yeah.
So, but I did have my dad because he loved talking about ideas and he's someone who didn't just talk about ideas. It's like, oh, you know what? Talk to this person, talk to this person. They'll tell you about this, they'll give you this. So he was a great mentor.
Hmm.
Absolutely exactly the type of person I needed.
And do you have any siblings? Are they the same if you do?
My brother is, I'm very much like my brother. My sisters are just happy, normal people,
Mhm.
normal jobs.
Okay. So, okay, you launched your own, I wouldn't say pharmaceuticals, but more like supplements. How
Supplement.
many products did, yeah, how many products did you have?
So I started with 3 single herb supplements and then quickly grew to 28, but focusing more on organic soaps, organic shampoo, things that weren't common in Bangladesh,
Hmm.
especially geared for children, teenagers, person.
Hmm.
Kids, yes, but not teenagers. Um, and then from there, within 3 years, I pivoted to energy enhancement products.
And you were still at an equivalent of a high school in the United States while you were doing that. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around all this. So you created a product, but then you had to sell it, and in order to sell it, you needed to
So,
somehow market it. How did you work through all that, and who helped you with it to understand what to do?
so I sold my first batch with just paper, designing the product, sketching it out on paper with, what is the ingredient list going to look like? What were the front of the packaging and the bottle going to look like? And then I sat down with wholesalers.
Hmm.
And because I was so young, I said, can you give me a deposit so that I can go make the first batch?
Oh.
So I actually had my wholesalers help me with designing the product and actually buying the raw material and the factory use to have it manufactured. So I guess I sold it before I built it, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course it does. So you sold it, and but I know that usually with all the products we need to test them and we get reviews and then we usually improve it. Talk to me about all this process, what happened, and if you had any bad reviews or not.
So everything you're talking about is a D2C problem, right?
Okay.
If you're going directly to consumer. I was selling to wholesalers, and the wholesaler's job, they already had contacts with the bodegas, the small shops that they were distributing and selling products to already.
So it was not your problem.
It's right. My customer was the wholesaler,
Okay.
if that makes
But
sense.
your customer also talked to you. They were happy with your product, I'm assuming.
Right, because they already knew there's demand built in the stores that they're selling for
Mhm.
products like this. And the other way they ensured that sales would take place is so I give a percentage to the wholesaler, right? That's why they take my product. But then the wholesaler also gives incentives to the retail shops and stores that buy from them.
Mhm.
So because I was so eager to sell, I didn't focus on, my profits. So
Okay.
they had more margin to give the shops. And because my products had more margins for them to sell, they were happily being my sales associates and pushing the products on my behalf.
So I'm trying to understand now what was that interest that developed? Because at the beginning it sounds like it was your own problem that you wanted to solve, but then you got really into the numbers and sales. Is that correct?
It didn't happen in a numbers and sales kind of way. It happened very organically where the the main goal was still just one thing. I want to do this thing. I didn't even know what this thing is. And I didn't care about my profits as much either, right? Because then I probably would have thought about numbers. But by default, because I agreed to whatever percentages they wanted from me, they had more margins to push the product, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, and that was helpful to you because you didn't have to think much. You just followed that flow, so to say, right? I
Yeah.
love that. I love that story. Now, a thing that not many people talk about when they're trying to promote programs for how to start a business is legal matters. And you were
Yeah.
just 15, and I know that in many countries you can't even own your own thing or start your own business. Did you operate under your own name, or was the owner your father and you were somehow his affiliate? And like, how did you set up that part?
So because he had his own factories and all the supplements so the supplements I created were offshoots of supplements he was already creating, had all the licensure and certifications and the testing done for his products. Essentially, the thing that was different was just my packaging and the dosage
Mm,
for, for teenage girls.
years.
That
Okay.
was the only difference, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's very interesting. Did you have your own brand name then? It sounds like you did.
Madison and Oliver.
All right. Okay. So what happened with Madison and Oliver, in the course of its existence?
So after, I mean, I'm going to fast forward almost a decade from
Okay.
there. I got married. I did the whole, good Muslim daughter thing where I married who my father wanted me to marry. Um, and you can tell how well that went. Must have went. Um, so after I got divorced, or during the divorce, I would say, I wanted to exit from my companies. And by then, I also had a garment manufacturing company as well. So I
Okay.
exited from both, got divorced, and started focusing more on the US.
How did you end up being in the US, if I may ask?
So I've been coming to the US since I was a kid, and throughout my teens and 20s, early 20s, I've lived in US for time to time.
Hmm.
I even did a year and a half of high school here. I
Mm.
did college here. It wasn't completely like, oh, I've never been here.
Okay.
This was always my second home.
And your English, is that your first language? Or it's not?
Third,
The third. Oh
yeah,
wow. What other language? What's your native language?
Bengali, Hindi,
Okay. Yeah, English
Urdu.
is my third language as well.
Yeah, I think outside of the US, it's very normal, right, to speak multiple languages. It's only in the US where people are very impressed that you speak something else.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to understand. So did you sell your first company, and did you sell it at profit, and how did you decide to do that even?
So by the time I was ready to sell, I had business partners for both of them.
Mm,
I just exited most of my shares.
hmm. And how did you acquire business partners? Because I've been in partnerships as well, and I know that that's also a different topic. It's an interesting topic.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, I would say again, I was pretty lucky with
Mhm.
those two businesses, but I have had very bad experience with partnerships in the US.
Okay. Yeah, those are life lessons as well.
Yes, it's all a PhD. It's just multiple PhDs.
Yeah. So now I understand that you own two companies. I read on your press leaflet that you are also the founder of LIV 180 Construction and Remodeling. Uh,
Yes.
how much time do you spend on those businesses proportionally? Because I understand Azgari.com is something that you are now actively promoting.
So both of those companies, I focus more on commercial projects, which are much more long. Even the sales cycle to win a bid, if I even win the bid, is much longer process. I'm not doing that much residential work anymore. So it doesn't take up a lot of my time on a day-to-day basis. And I have crews that go out and do the job. I have managers that manage. So I don't have to allocate what you would consider a full-time for those two businesses.
Okay. So my audience, I understand what you are saying, but my audience might be we might lose my audience who are people who have never had a business and they might turn it off and it's like, oh, this is not for me. I can't do it because these girls are like I'm nothing like that. So let's walk them through that time when you decide to do something new in a new country. You need to find new people who to talk with and even the idea of how to start. Let's take which was the first business, LIV 180 Construction and Remodeling or Asgari.com?
Live 180.
Okay, I'm really curious about this company. How did you come up with the idea to start a business in this industry? And
So I
yeah,
I'm in
and how
Austin,
you started.
Texas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
So I'm in Austin, Texas. I don't know if you know much about Austin, but there's a huge growth boom. And at the same time, there are a ton of historic homes, older homes that need a lot of remodeling.
Mhm.
So it was purely created out of demand
Okay.
because I've done a passion project company and it was a huge failure. It was in the mental health space, mental health for men. Uh, Demand wasn't there. Huge failure. But after that, I just went back to the drawing board to do what I already know best, which is don't try to create a product or service that no one's willing to already pay you for. And with remodeling in Austin, it is a huge, huge boom for construction. Everywhere you go, there's no
Okay.
shortage of construction projects continuously happening, whether if it's on government level, commercial level, or residential.
Okay. So I will translate this for the listeners. Be careful with be careful with passion projects because we all want to do something that we feel like we would help the world with to help some problem, but the world might not be ready for our help. Would you agree that's the message?
Yes, it was a hard message for me to learn, but I'm glad I learned it. Passion without market demand is a lot of pain.
So, can you talk a little bit more about that passion project in mental health? I'm actually actively talking about mental health, but from the perspective of brain health, which is more tangible. But I do think that people are interested in it, but maybe they have other priorities. They might not be ready to invest in it because we don't see what's in our skull, inside of our skulls. So,
Yeah,
yeah, can you talk about that? What prompted you to start it, and what exactly you did, and what didn't work?
sure. So, first it was going to be more focused on mental health. So telehealth platform focused on mental health. And then we narrowed down to Gen Z men
Mhm.
demographic, which, had the highest rate of suicide, highest rate of reported depression. So the need was there. But then
Mhm.
at the same time, people who are depressed, especially men, don't want help for it, right? So even though there's a demand, There's no one that's willing to pay for it. But the irony of it was everybody loved talking about it, but no one's willing to open their wallet for it.
Hmm.
That was the rude awakening
Oh
that
yeah,
I
that's I have two sons, and I have been in a marriage where I have seen problems. I can totally agree with what you're saying. But what you were trying to sell? Was it a service or products?
It was a telehealth platform. First, it
Oh.
was going to be primarily focused on AI. And, 2 years back, 3 years back, AI wasn't, you could still build a, ChatGPT wraparound for mental health and it would do a great job. But at the same time, we miscalculated that there needs to be a human component to mental health,
Hmm.
right? Just having um, an AI to talk to at any time is good, right? If it's 2 in the morning where you don't have access to a human, but to add tack on that human component, which we did after, but we couldn't get traction from investors.
Okay.
That's when we had to stop.
Yeah, and I see that this nicely leads into what we can talk now about. You had that lesson where you wanted to do something and there was no demand. By the way, did you lose a lot of money?
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
How much is a lot?
Okay, so between at that same time, I also I would say right after, I also bought into a franchise
Mhm.
because, there's all this at the time, people think buying into a franchise is very risk averse or safe. So I thought, okay, let's try something safe because with this mental health, it clearly wasn't. But I would say between the two companies, close to 500,000.
Wow. Have you been able to recover? I hope.
It's a PhD, right? Isn't that how much a PhD costs?
Oh, wow.
It's good to
Well,
recover. I learned my lesson, so.
thank you for being so open, because I think that people need to hear that it's you can talk as much as you want. I'm not buying into these ideas where for some people maybe it's just like that and easy, but I think for most people we continue making mistakes no matter at what stage of life or business experience we are, and but it's also very interesting and good for our brains, in my opinion.
I don't, if you double click into talking to any entrepreneur,
Mhm.
right? There is so much failure. There's so many mistakes, so much embarrassment. There's so much, oh my effing God, I can't believe I did that. So I don't think people hear those enough and
Yeah.
they're too risk averse. They're too scared to try something.
Yes.
People have such a negative connotation to mistakes or
Yes.
such a big connotation to failure, right? If you fail once, it's very hard to get somebody to try something again.
Yes.
But it's so counterproductive to entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship means you have guaranteed failures coming your way.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that, because I also don't like feeding people with false
Yeah,
hope. Yes.
you
So,
are absolutely going to fail. It's how you recover from it.
right. And I understand that because you failed a couple of times or even more, you founded your company Azgari.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you help people to actually gain clarity on whether to start or buy or franchise, as I understand. And you also help people to understand the risks of each of those choices. Personally, I am sold on this idea because I know how much we all want clarity, even though I know that there will be not 100% assurance that you will succeed no matter what. Well, what is your offer? Talk about it. I know that you have several offers, but what is your main offer?
So I think the gist of what I like to do and what I focus on as my core is for understanding what is going to be the best fit for the individual, right? For
Hmm.
example, for the sake of this conversation, if you came to me and you said, I know I want to be a business owner. I've tried a couple of things before, it didn't work. I want to do something, but I don't know what that thing is. That to me is the best place to start
Hmm.
because you're not coming to me with, I want to do a party planning company. And I'm sitting there going, have you done any research? Like why a party planning company? Why in your North Carolina location?
Hmm.
So when you come with an open mind, like, I don't know what I want to do, then it's a great place for me because now we can actually see where there's a demand and something that I can create a niche for you and focus on that instead of now having to convince you out of whatever idea you had from talking to your neighbor.
Yeah. And just saying that you have started businesses in several areas, like industries. I understand that you focus on services businesses, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's
And but
because it's
mhm,
easier
yeah.
and it's easier to get small business loans for them.
Okay.
So it's easier to focus on it because it's also predictable.
Hmm.
We can know exactly particular type of business is going to do in your local market with numbers and dollars. It's not a guessing game, if that makes sense.
And if you are you're saying services business, do you and you I just heard the word in your location, do you focus on local businesses or could it be also virtual businesses like internet businesses?
I prefer to focus on local businesses. It's much more tangible services. It's easier to get loans for. It's much harder to get loans for internet businesses.
Hmm. I've been talking about entertaining this idea about local business because during the past 10 or more years I've been focusing on online business, but it's just a personal preference right now because I am tired of staring in the screen all the time and I want to actually
Yeah.
integrate more in my location. The problem is that I'm not sure that I want to stay in this location for me. So,
Well,
yeah.
the other thing is the way we structure a business, right? If you are needed on a day-to-day basis after the first year, first 2 years, then we did something horribly wrong.
Yeah.
You should be able to run each location with staff
Hmm.
without you physically being tied to it. But you have the option because it's your business.
Right. And it's important in any age, but I think in particular at the age of people who are in midlife and beyond, which is the audience I'm focusing on. I'm actually focusing on people at around their late 40s and then beyond, not even knowing what's going to happen in your life and how your health is going to be and all that. And I think that grabbing that opportunity or just starting doing something right now without waiting much is the thing to do.
I
So
agree.
I will share with you that I have developed three. The word that we use in business is avatars, which is
Okay.
descriptions of three different people. They do have some similarities. And I would like to, if you play with me, if you play along with me, I would
Yeah,
like to impersonate, is that the word, each of them and share my idea of what's happening in my life and just give a short feedback of what you would advise me to do. Is that okay with you?
sure. That sounds fun.
Okay, so my avatars have names.
Okay.
First is Ellen, then I have Marta, and then I have Nicole. So I'll start by impersonating Ellen. Okay, hi,
Yeah.
Asgari. I am Ellen. I
I'm
work as I work as an analyst in a large corporation. I'm not going to tell you which corporation that is, but I work from home over the
Ellen.
internet. And it suits me right now because I'm also taking care of my mother who has dementia. And I am secret because I'm working from home and I see the screen and I also see my mom and I have to constantly take care of her. I feel trapped. I am not married. I'm single. I don't have any children. I just have my dogs. And I'm secretly dreaming about starting my own business. And the reason is because I feel trapped being in this house and not being the CEO of my time, so to say. I want to start a business, but all I know is this analytics. I don't know anything else. What should I do?
Well, my first comment there would be you don't just know analytics. You've worked with other people. I'm sure you had a boss. I'm sure you had maybe someone under you that you trained at some point in your career. Those are all skills that are transferable to a business ownership. I'm sure you've managed your books, right? You didn't get to this age without doing that. So you can do your own accounting. There's so many skills that you have that you're not giving yourself credit for to be a business owner, especially for a small business.
And what kind of business? I have no idea what to start. Do you have any idea what could that be? Because I want to hear from you and imagine if I would even like it.
So that's part of our process first is to understand your background, understand what you have accomplished so far in your career. Who are your contacts? Super important. You may not even know that you are friends with someone or someone that was a past colleague, current colleague, boss, who may be friends with someone in a procurement department where there's an opportunity for a job that we can align. So those are all things we would want to understand in the onboarding call from you first. And then from there, I also like to take into account what are you naturally more inclined to. Even from this 2-minute conversation, you're clearly someone who wants to be face to face with people, right? So we understand we want to select a business that's going to make that possible for you. Then the second step would be what type of people? Do you enjoy talking to people in more office setting or homes, elderly, young, kids, if that makes sense? So really having an understanding of who you are, what your skill sets are, who your contacts are. And from there, next step would be understanding your local market, your local city. And combining all of these knowledge, we can come up with maybe 5 to 6 different business models and then start validating each of them to see which one makes the best sense for you. Did that process make sense?
Absolutely, Asgari. I think this was so helpful. Now I have regained maybe confidence in me that I can actually have 6 to 10 ideas and that I probably have more skills than I think I do. Thank you. Now, seriously, I think this was really helpful for my audience. Now, I will be Marta now. As Marta, I am a first generation immigrant to the United States. I immigrated from Mexico and I am in my late 50s. And back in my country, I used to have a well paid job. I worked as a project manager in a company that provided services to commercial real estate, let's say. But I came here, I moved to the United States to live with my daughter because she married a US citizen and now she has children, my grandchildren, and I just can't bear the idea of not seeing them on a daily basis or very often.
Right.
So, so I feel that I am not using my potential because I can still work. But I can't find a job here because my English is not good enough. And I was thinking something about my culture because I wanted something more fun than I used to do in my corporate job back in Mexico. So do you think I can start my own business and how should I go about it?
You, again, project management, that's That's to me, that's CEO training, right? You have so much skill set to manage different verticals within you did project, but I'm going to say small business. So that's a great start. I don't think your language barrier is going to be an issue if we focus your business for your background and demographic. I'm sure there are, I haven't done the numbers, but I'm sure there are thousands of people from your background in the US.
Mhm.
And I'm sure they all need services and products. So we can look for creating a business and product that supports your existing community of people that are in the US just like you.
But I want to have this business to be about my culture because I want to contribute to educating people about our rich cultural heritage. And I want to also leave legacy for my grandchildren so that they are proud of me that I did it. Would
It's a,
that be the passion project or could it still be profitable?
I would honestly have to do a lot more deep dive to actually see the numbers before I can say something to you. There's always a strategy to turn it into a business, but then it's going to be a question of how much business can we generate from that? And what is the core offer going to be? And realistically, who would be the target audience who would be interested in that? I would imagine there could be cultural programs, and this is just me talking at the top of my head. Men love women from your country.
Okay.
So I wonder if there's an avenue to explore there. So I would probably want to take a week or two, have a more in-depth conversation with you, and then have my team do a little more deep dive search to actually validate if we can do something culturally with your background.
Well, thank you for your honesty. I do have some savings and I could invest in working with you so that I know that I don't lose more money if I just start this business without validation, so to say. What would be that money, that amount that I would need to work with you so that I know and have that clarity?
So we work with clients in different capacity, based on where you are. We can just work with you to validate and come down to one clear business model that's going to work for you. And that could be all the engagement we have with you. Or we can go a step further and help you go through the entire SBA loan process or any other smart financing that you may need to actually launch and execute the business. Or we can take it even a step further where we launch the business with you, or take it a step further and launch the business and operate with you for the first year. So depending on, what stage makes sense for you, the price tag could be anywhere from 5,000 to 50,000. And we have internal financing for it as well.
Okay. Well, as somebody whose English is not perfect, let's let's translate SBA
Small,
for my audience. Thank
sure.
you.
Small
Thank
business administration loans. So that's another reason why I focus so much on service businesses.
you.
Service businesses have benchmarks, and small business administration loves giving loans for those
Mhm.
up to 5 million. But for a service business, the average loan that we encourage someone is under 200,000, and that's including your first year operation, hiring staff, all of that.
Well, that sounds wonderful. What would be my investment?
So, for example, let's say you come on board and you want us to launch the business, operate with you for the first year. With the $50,000 package, we have financing. So long as you have good credit, you have low credit utilization, we're able to get you financing for that initial engagement of 50,000.
Mhm.
And when we apply for the SBA loan, when the loan disbursement happens, the first loan payment is released, we pay off that private financed loan. Does that make sense?
I hope that it does. That's very valuable information, and thank you for being open and upfront about the potential costs, because that's really what people need to know. Because oftentimes there are no prices, and you just start a conversation, and then you end the conversation being disappointed, not knowing what would you would expect. All right. Now, the third person is Nicole. Now I'm Nicole, and I'm also in my 50s. I'm in my early 50s. I'm just like right now, I'm going through menopause. And I have been working as a waitress all my life. I don't have any education. I started early. I was probably 16 when I started. And I know a lot of people, but I feel like I don't know anything else but to wait the tables. However, I'm really tired. My body is not able to tolerate all that workload like before, and I want to do something else. I do have a house. I inherited a house. It's a debt-free house. My relative left it for me because she didn't have any children. And I do have a hobby. I'm a pottery artist. And I was thinking maybe I can start pottery classes or produce pottery or something in the basement of my house. So that's just my idea I can think of because, as I said, I don't have any business idea. I haven't traveled, I haven't seen much. What do you think? Is that a good idea about how to start a business? I don't have much in my savings, but I also don't have any debt. So how am I doing? Do I have any potential?
How big is the house?
Let's say 3 bedrooms.
Okay. And you also said there's a basement. How big is the basement?
I made I made this up. I don't know. Can you explain why it matters?
So, multiple things, right? This is the only asset you have. You don't have access to capital. So, I want to maximize the use of the space to
Mhm,
see what business is going to generate the most amount of revenue for you with the least amount of investment. So, for example, if it was a large house, right, 5 bedrooms, 6 bedrooms, depending on the location, if the house is in a city where there's a lot of retirees, or if it's in a city with a lot of kids, young demographic, we could think about a assisted living facility
mhm,
within the home. We can look for a daycare as well. It's all going to depend on zoning, where the house is located, but the point is there's so many options we can explore.
mhm.
Um, I do like the pottery idea, but it would also again depend on the location. Where is the
Right.
house located?
Yeah, I can see that you are guiding your clients toward not losing their money, but actually making the money and being aware that those passion projects might not be successful. And that's wonderful.
And I'm just gonna say I'm lazy. I want to find the fastest path to generating revenue in the shortest time possible, right? So if your pottery idea isn't going to get us clients as quick as maybe having a home daycare or a assisted living facility, then I am going to encourage you to focus on those areas.
Yeah. On your website, I saw that the involvement or engagement that you can also so to say you could be engaged with is you stay with the new business owner, so to say, for a year. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yes. And then I think that you promised the 100% refund, and plus you would even pay 3K if
Yeah.
they're not successful. That's a bold statement and a very compelling proposal. Please share with my audience what needs to happen for you to actually be their partner.
So for the 50,000 1 year engagement package, we have, obviously, I can't take everybody for that offer either. So it has to be a conversation between do do we think you're going to be a good candidate to work with us and vice versa.
Mhm.
Basic criteria, someone who has either a good income or a decent amount of savings that has at least a 690. It used to be 670. The SBA just raised it to 690. Credit score, under 35% credit utilization. So these basic criterias that person has to meet, because if they don't, we can't get them a loan for the business. And with the loan amount, we allocate for a good sales manager, right? Because I have the ability to interview and recruit the best of the best, I have a good threshold on what that business is going to generate. So I'm able to make the guarantee that the business will do 300 to $700,000 first year because
Mhm.
I have end-to-end control over the business with the business owner, of course.
Right. And the numbers that you just mentioned, the revenue, that's the revenue. Would there be any profit during that first year?
There's always profit, but I don't know what that percentage is going to be,
Right.
depending on where the business is launched, what city, what you as a business owner want to write off.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking of these three people, for instance, they put all their money and they need to also live on something. Yeah.
So we allocate that within the loan, right?
Okay.
Within the first 18 months, we allocate about six, five, eight, depending on the type of business, thousand per month as the owner's salary.
Yeah, that's good to know. And I heard in probably in I don't think I saw it anywhere written on your leaflet, but I think I heard in one of your interviews where you were suggesting to actually get a loan instead of investing all the money, even if somebody had, let's say, a couple of hundred K. Let me talk
I
about
I
that.
am always going to be a proponent of leveraging, right?
Hmm.
Don't use your own money if you don't have to. Use your money as the collateral to get a loan because we also structure the business where the revenue is able to cover the monthly loan repayment. So essentially, you can launch a business with very little out of pocket. Well, I know a lot of people are against getting loans, but in business, it is stupid to use your own money if you don't have to.
Right.
Right?
So,
Save your savings for buying shoes. Let's
right.
build a business with with the government's money.
Because I think that there are a lot of people also here in the South, which you probably know because you're from Austin, that are Dave Ramsey fans. And they are all about being debt free. So I would like you to talk about this. Yeah,
So I think in your personal life, you should be debt free if you can. But when you're launching a business, why not mitigate the risk by using loans that are created for that exact purpose to help you launch a business, to help you operate for the first year?
okay, now as Azari, you were talking about that higher engagement, the 50K. What are the other tiers? What are the other offers that you have and the cost of like the involvement that somebody if they wanted to work with
So,
you?
for example, um, I guess the last persona that you mentioned, where she doesn't have any capital.
Hmm.
Someone like her, if she went with our $5,000, $6,000 DIY plus coaching package, it makes a whole lot more sense because even that 5,000, 6,000, she can use our internal financing. That
Okay.
way it'll be a couple $100 a month and we can help her launch the business with the 50K package. It's a concierge service, right? We're doing a lot of the work for the client. But with the DIY, it would be more us getting on calls every week, giving you deliverables. Hey, you need to do this week. This is how you're going to do it. So we're walking them through the entire process. So it's the same, just the difference is how much are you doing and how much are we doing for you?
Hmm. And for all those two people, basically, because Ellen might be a little different. She's in the corporate world, but with those two people, Marta and Nicole, what do they need to know? Would it be too overwhelming maybe for them? Because that's another fear people have. Will I understand what they are telling me to do?
I mean, you've had a conversation with me for almost an hour now. Um, I try my best to explain things where the just normal people like you and me can understand. And the best thing about small service businesses is it's not rocket science, right? It's home cleaning, it's lawn care, it's pressure washing, it's daycare, it's um, home health care for elderly. It's all things that normal people, everyday people can comprehend and understand for us to teach them. It's like any other job. If you were to go out and get a job, you would need training at first, but then it becomes second nature. So this is the same way. In the beginning, you might feel overwhelmed because we're teaching you something new. But within 6 months, you're pretty good. And definitely by the end of the year.
Well, this was very reassuring and convincing, and I hope that people will feel encouraged to contact you. So if they do, how can they find you?
Asgari.com.
Asgari.com.
Can
And
book a free call and we can walk them through their next steps. One of the things that I'm very adamant about with myself and any advisors is it doesn't matter if someone becomes a client or not. I want to make sure we can point you in a direction where you can take steps forward, whatever that might be.
that's wonderful. That's good to know that I can sign up and have a conversation with you, and you will help me, and I will not walk away disappointed. Even if you can't work with me, you
Yeah.
will point me into the direction where I could get help. That's wonderful. Azari, is there any question that you wish I had asked but I didn't?
No, I can't think of any. I do want to compliment you because I know you kept mentioning age, and I you look like the Barbies I had as a kid, right? Because when I was a kid, they didn't have Indian Barbie or brown Barbie. They only had pretty blonde girls, and you look just like my Barbies.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. And do you have any final words of wisdom for my audience?
Do it even if you're scared, because you'll regret it more if you don't. No one in their deathbed sits there and says, "Oh, I'm so glad I didn't take any risk in my life."
I love it because one of my favorite quotes, and I forgot who said it, but I've been repeating this quote over and over again, is start today because a year from now you will regret that you didn't start a year earlier.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for your time and for pitching yourself for this podcast. She became CEO. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was very nice meeting you.
It was nice meeting you too. And best of luck for you in your business.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to She Became CEO. If this episode sparked something in you, share it with a woman who is ready to reclaim her voice, her business, or her life. You can subscribe, leave a review, or explore more at shebecameceo.com. And remember, the transformation starts with you. Until the next time, lead boldly and speak your truth.